Hey guys, welcome to Module 2, Part 1. Okay, so this module, you guys are going to be cutting out your pattern pieces. Yay! This is a really big step, so I'm excited that you guys are going to do it. In order to prepare for it, we should probably talk about what a marker is, because you want to read the pattern markers before you cut out your pieces. So the marker is kind of like a little map. It's just a little diagram that's going to tell you how to place all the different pattern pieces on your fabric. And give you the best yield, meaning you don't have to buy as much fabric, right? The less waste. You don't want to waste fabric. So it tells you the best way to put the pattern pieces on the fabric. And this is actually someone's job in the industry, is to make professional markers. I always compare it to like playing a game of Tetris. You know, those little shapes that come down from that computer game. You can twist and turn them, and you want to get them to all fit and save the most room. That's kind of what this is how do we get all these shapes to fit together without wasting much fabric? So I'm not telling you to be the marker maker. I'm just telling you to read the little diagram that the marker maker made. Say that 10 times fast. So that's exciting. Now, when you are putting your pattern pieces on your fabric, you'll want to know how much fabric to buy. And usually it's a good idea if you know how wide your fabric is, because if it's super wide, you can buy less fabric if the little pieces fit on it. But if it's really narrow, then you're going to have to buy more fabric to fit all the pattern pieces. So when you go to the store on the bolt, it'll tell you the width of it. It's most likely 45 inches. That seems to be very common if you are shopping at Joann's or like Walmart or something like that. But there are a lot of fabrics that are actually 60 inches wide as well. So if you bought your fabric up in the fashion district, it might be 60 inches, or IKEA even sells fabric. Sometimes theirs is 60 inches. But you know what? If the bolt didn't say it, just get a measuring tape and just measure how wide is my fabric. Then you're also going to want to look at your fabric and figure out the direction. We call this the nap. So a lot of you guys might have a print, and so sometimes the print is two directional, like the top and the bottom. It doesn't matter. They both could be the top or the bottom, but some prints are directional, and you don't want your images to be upside down. And that also goes the same, goes to fabric like velvet or corduroy fabric. I mean, it might look the same from top and bottom, but really the light does hit it a little bit differently. So if you have a fabric like that has a nap, then you want to make sure you cut all your pattern pieces with the top facing the same way, I guess. But yeah, so that's what we're doing this whole module, is cutting this guy out. And I have a lot of different steps to sort of help you out with it. Okay, so step 1, I have you guys printing out the pattern pieces at home. So it's saved as a PDF. You want to print it out on letter size papers probably and tape it together. So there's a little video showing you how to do that. You just want to be careful and make sure you don't like resize the pattern when you print it. Then you want to have the list of your pattern pieces handy as well. So this is a little PDF file. You can click it and print that out as well. Or if you're working on like a tablet or something, you could just have it open. This is the pattern that is discontinued that we used to buy, but they don't make it anymore, sadly. But we still have it, so digitally for you guys at least. But this is what it looks like if you did go to the store and bought a pattern. They'll have their little black and white tech drawing of what it's going to look like when it's finished. And then they have a little drawing of all the pattern pieces in the envelope. This particular pattern also had a backpack. That's why there's all these extra pieces. So it'll either say A or B. We were doing messenger bag A, so you guys only have to cut out pattern pieces 1 through 4, which is, you can see side A. Anything that's letter A, you have to cut out. And then you don't cut out any of the letter B's. But if you notice, 5 and 6 don't have a letter, and that's because those pattern pieces were used for both styles, A and B. So really, you need to cut out pattern pieces 1 through 6. So it is handy to have this in front of you, so you just have like a clear direction of what needs to be cut out. Okay. Then step 3, this is our little marker, and it says layout instructions here. I'm going to go ahead and click this guy. I recommend printing this out as well. Okay, so what this is, I'm calling it cutting layout. It's technically called a marker, but it's going to tell you how to fold your fabric, and then it's also going to tell you how to lay out your pattern pieces. So for this particular style, you have 3 different types of fabric that you purchase. You have one, which is the outer part of the bag, which we call self. You have some interfacing, which is going to go on the inside of the bag, and you'll never even see it. And then you also have lining. So when the marker made this marker, they said whether your fabric is 54 inches or 60 inches, this is how you need to fold it. Unfortunately, they didn't give us instructions if your fabric is 45 inches wide. So I guess that specifically they really want you to buy wide fabric. I will tell you though, I've taught this class for almost 10 years, and even if you only have fabric that's 45 inches wide, it'll still fit. So I don't know, that's kind of weird, but I just want to bring this to your attention is that a lot of patterns that you buy from the store, they will have a different diagram. Like they'll have one diagram if your fabric's only 45 inches, they'll tell you how to lay it out, and then they'll have a different diagram if it's 60 inches wide. So you just want to pay attention to that, because if you have a 60-inch wide fabric, you want to follow that diagram because then you save more fabric. Like you don't have to buy as many yards of fabric, if that makes sense. Okay, so interfacing, they know interfacing doesn't come huge widths, so it's probably only 20 or 24 inches wide, and this is how they want you to fold it. And then same with the lining. They're saying that the lining is probably 45 inches wide. Okay, so this takes a while to learn, but you guys will get it once you understand it, and then you'll be good to sew anything after this. So, so I hope that you don't get frustrated, and I hope that you follow me on this. If not, we'll have to set up a Zoom and have a conversation. I can answer your questions, but here goes. Okay, so a lot of times the patterns you buy in the store, they have a little code up here. They'll have a code for the back of your pattern and the front, because they want to tell you whether to flip your pattern over or not. So, so they call it a pattern code. Then they have one for fabric as well. And this can be really confusing because they'll just like mix it up a lot. Like on this one, I have gray as back of the pattern for both, but sometimes they put them in weird spots and it confuses people. But it's just a good idea to pay attention to whether you're looking at the front of the fabric or the back of the fabric. So yeah. Okay, so in this little illustration, we have pattern pieces 1, 2, 3, and 4 laid on top of the fabric. So again, the white part is the back of the fabric. So they took the fabric and they folded it so that the correct side of the fabrics are together, and then the back of the fabric is just on the outside. So this is like a U shape, like here's the edge of the fabric, it goes down, here's the fold, and it comes back up. So a lot of times these markers, it'll say the word fold, and then it'll say the word selvage. Sometimes it won't say fold, actually. It'll just have an F here and an S. And the F stands for fold, and the S stands for selvage. Now there's a P and an L, and the only reason I put that there is because so many patterns have that, and the reason why is because it's usually offered in another language. So like, and I believe that it's this particular one is French. So I guess to say fold in French, it starts with the letter P. So, so anyway, so this right here is a fold. Your fabric is folded. And then up here, these are the selvage. Your 2 selvages should be meeting, okay? So put them together and then put piece number 3 and then 2 right underneath it. And then here for 1 and 4, this is funny because you really only need 1 piece. I'm like realizing this is an error, but hey, it's from the actual like pattern, so we're gonna copy it. I guess it's good to have an extra one. But when you cut out pattern piece number 1, they have you lay it out, and then they actually only want you to cut this bottom line up here, the edge, and then the top, and they don't want you to cut this middle line. Then they want you to flip the pattern. So the back of the pattern, that's what these dots are. and then cut the top side here. So really you're cutting it so it's double the length. When I teach this in the classroom, a lot of the times I have students, I'm like, hey, why don't you just take pattern piece number 1 and butt it up against the fold, and then you just cut the top and the side and the bottom, and you don't cut the fold, and then when you unfold it, it's like twice as long. So that's another option too if you'd rather do that, because you only need one of them, and if you cut it this way, you're going to get 2 of them. You don't need 2. And then same thing with the strap. Now the strap, you do need 2 of them. So if you are going to butt the strap up against the fold, you have to do it twice as well. So I don't know. I hope this isn't too confusing. I guess we will find out. And then the interfacing, they take the interfacing, and this one, they don't even fold it. You can see here it says selvage, selvage, and then boom, they put piece number 3 on it and cut it. Here, they put the fold here, and they have selvage and selvage, and then they do put piece number 1 up against the fold. So when you cut out piece number 1, you cut the top, the side, and the bottom, but you don't cut the fold. So when you unfold it, it's twice as long. And then they put piece number 2 on here too because you need 2 of them. So they figure, oh, might as well fold it and you have 2 layers. But piece number 3, you only need 1. So that's why they have it just a single layer here. And this is like double layer because it's folded. The lining, again, looks like they have a fold. They have their 2 selvages lined up. So this illustration is actually very similar to the first one, the self one, the way they folded the fabric. And they just put piece number 1, and they butted it up against the fold this time. And you cut the bottom, the side, and the top, and you don't cut the part of the fold. So again, you open it, it's twice as big. Now this one illustration throws students a lot. I'd love for you to like pause this video right now and look at it and see if you can understand it without me walking you through it. Go ahead, pause. But anyways, what it is that there's a fold line here. And then look, here's a selvage and a selvage. So what they did, instead of pulling the selvage all the way up to meet, kind of like in the top illustration, they stopped it, I guess about 3/4 of the way, just enough so that you can cut out 5 and 6. So pieces 5 and 6, you only need 1 of each. You don't need 2, so you don't need to double up your fabric. So, so they just pulled the selvage just kind of up to there, so there's enough room to cut out those 2 and just get 1 layer. And then over here it's 2 layers, and they put pattern piece number 2 down, and you need 2 of those, so there's 2 layers. So you only have to cut it out once, and you'll have 2. Nothing is cut against the fold line here. When you're done with number 2, it should be 2 pieces. It shouldn't be 1 that's connected on the fold. So anyways, yes, you guys are gonna cut it out. It's so exciting. Excuse me. And I really broke it up for you to turn it in because it's very important to me that you understand this cutting procedure. Cutting's so important because if you mess up cutting, you can kind of waste a lot of fabric, and you know, and sometimes you just have to go buy more fabric, which is unfortunate. If you mess up sewing, that's totally fine. You can get a seam ripper, take it out, and do it again, no big deal. But cutting's not quite so simple. So it's really important to me that we spend a little extra time and focus on this, understanding it and doing it right, and having the confidence that you're doing it right. Hopefully you're reading the instructions, it looks good, you know, you feel good about it. So let's see here. So for this to turn in, you're gonna fold all 3 of your fabrics. You're gonna fold the self, the interfacing, and the lining. And I want you to take a picture of how you laid out your fabric, okay? And then I want you to put the pattern pieces on top of your fabric and take a picture of those. And then you want to make sure your pattern pieces are pinned to your fabric, and take a close-up of one of them just so I can see how you pinned. And I actually am going to make another little video demoing how to pin to fabric. And then cut out the pieces and just post a picture of them all cut out. They can be in a pile, they can be on top of each other, but just so I can see that you cut them out is fine. So it's a lot of documentation, but this is just really important to me that you guys do it correctly. So I really want to see that each step was done correctly, because I know it'll make your life so much easier if you understand this. It's just going to make all the projects going forward cake, I think, really easy. So if you do it right. Okay, if you have questions, I'm available. And yeah, you can shoot me an email. I don't mind setting up Zoom meetings and to walk you through this. And yeah, let's give it a go.